Solitude, why we are afraid of it, and what awaits us on the other side. To be alone is the fate of all great minds, a fate deplored at times, but still always chosen as the less grievous of two evils. We must ask ourselves why. And in this video, we will explore why we should welcome solitude and what awaits us on the other side of it. This is your internet big sister, and welcome to Lasso of Truth. Who is most vulnerable? Women who have never genuinely been alone. They have moved from one relationship or living situation to the next and have no established relationship within themselves, independent of others. Women who associate solitude with loneliness. They have not yet experienced the distinction between the two. We all know that when we feel lonely, it's this longing, this ache that just doesn't seem to be able to be shaken off. Even when you are in a crowded room, you feel alone amongst many. In solitude, it's more of this steadiness. Women with unresolved pain. The silence brings what was not processed, which feels like confirmation that solitude is dangerous rather than healing. Unfortunately, it may seem like we move on from these things, but we don't. They're just buried. When you bury the pain, it will resurface like a weed. What's wonderful is that you go in with the awareness that you may most likely feel pain and have to face things such as injustice, such as regret and maybe anger, whatever it may be, knowing that that's not where you will stay. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Always. You have epiphanies. You begin to understand yourself, even your interests, your curiosities. You begin to see things about yourself that are beautiful. Women who derive their sense of self from their relationships. Alone, they feel undefined. If we only understood, it's like ripping off a Band-Aid. And it may take time. It may feel like you'll stay in that negative state forever, or the confusion. But once the Band-Aid is ripped off, the pain lessens over time. And then you become someone you are proud of. And then you lose interest in just breadcrumb type of treatment and relationships. You think, well, that's pathetic. That's sad for them that they think that I would accept such a thing. So you end up becoming the woman that you really have always longed to be, yet didn't know you already had within you. Let's go into the depth of this. Solitude and loneliness are not the same. Loneliness is the ache of disconnection from others, while solitude is the experience of being present with yourself. And for a woman who knows herself, it is not aching. It is nourishing. In my experience, I have been more nourished being in solitude and found more joy because I did not have to deal with at a point of maybe weakness, of trying to grow. During that time, you're more vulnerable. So why expose yourself to the world or to people if it's not necessary? So I personally found it nourishing. I dove deep into human nature, psychology, dark psychology, history. Why do people do what they do? The reason silence feels threatening is because it brings truth. Because in a world filled with lies and propaganda, complete fabrications. However, let us not reach a point to lack the confidence to know what is true. And truth makes requests of us. It shows us what we've been tolerating, what we've been postponing, who we have been performing for. It shows us what we've been tolerating. Some of us don't even realize we've been tolerating such poor treatment, and it's not worth it. A society that never sits with itself, never examines itself. Can we agree that this is our current state? What we avoid in silence, we carry unexamined into every decision, relationship, every belief. A population that cannot be still is a population that cannot think clearly. And that is far easier to influence, to sell to, and to divide. And we accept it. What becomes available in genuine solitude is access to your own thoughts before they are shaped by input. These are the conditions under which discernment, critical thinking, and genuine self-knowledge become possible. My channel is about creating a society that can discern properly, think critically, think for ourselves, and question. The definition of our society should be that if there is any evil towards those who cannot defend themselves, there should be consequences. Discernment, intuition, critical thinking, pattern recognition. knowing yourself. None of these are fully accessible to a woman who has never learned to be still. A woman who has developed this capacity is significantly harder to manipulate, radicalize, or keep inside a narrative that does not serve her. The woman who is most comfortable alone is often the most capable of genuine connection because she is not seeking from relationships what she has not yet found in herself. And this is exactly where I'm at now. I am someone that I do not need. I do not. You must always be good with yourself. We all have highs and lows. We all lose ourselves and have to rebuild. This is the point, to not be ashamed of being someone that failed, yet having the courage to rise up again. That's what I want us to get used to. A man can be himself only so long as he is alone. And if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom. For it is only when he is alone that he is really free. Arthur Schopenhauer. So how to develop or rebuild? Begin with 15 minutes of genuine presence with your own thoughts. Notice what comes up rather than trying to manage it. Now, this is easier said than done, but make it so that you win. So let's just say you say, I'm going to do 5 minutes. You accomplish 5 minutes instead of the 15. That means you won. You did exactly what you said you would do, and you're not betraying yourself. You get used to the habit. I follow through. I respect and value myself enough to follow through on what I say I'm going to do, and have the courage to sit alone with my thoughts without distractions and accept what is coming. Ask yourself honest questions in that space. Who am I when no one is watching? What do I actually think about my life? What am I tolerating that the best version of myself would not accept? That's huge to me, that last one especially. What am I tolerating that the best version of myself would not accept? The woman that will not accept anything less than what she is worthy of. The woman that maybe didn't grow up in a manner that showed her she was worthy or of value or how to be treated, but she became it. That's something to be proud of. Build the practice gradually. Solitude is a capacity that develops with use. The first experiences of it are often uncomfortable. So you have to get used to being comfortable with being uncomfortable. As we know, it works with everything. When you start exercising, when you start reading again, things of that nature. Pay attention to what changes in your thinking the longer you maintain this practice. The patterns you begin to recognize in yourself will sharpen your ability to recognize them in others. Solitude is where discernment is quietly built. Discernment without all the noise, because when the noise comes, as it always does, you are steady, you are ready, you can see things and read between the lines. You will not be easily fooled and painted like a clown because you've done the work. How to protect against exploitation. A woman who cannot be alone is significantly easier to manipulate than a woman who can. The need for constant connection creates a vulnerability that predatory people identify and leverage. They provide the presence that fills the silence and then uses that dependency. This was the story of my life when I was much younger. The predatory people that are just wolves in sheep's clothing, they just know better than someone inexperienced or younger or naive. And they could smell the great desire to be loved and accepted, seen and understood. There's nothing wrong with that, but the way we go about it can be. And unfortunately, it's due to the world we currently live in, because what kind of world do we live in where wanting love, being kind, servicial is now to the detriment of that person because there is such malevolence and those who want to take. That to me is insane. How are we in such a world? But we are, therefore we must act accordingly. The ability to be genuinely comfortable alone means that you choose people from a place of genuine desire rather than a need to fill a space. So your circle becomes that is well thought through. These people value you and you value them. You guys can count on each other when it matters most, in the worst of times, in the best of times. You'll begin to see that there are a lot of people just not worthy to even be in your presence. But it's not out of arrogance. It's out of standards. It's out of principles and what you value. Solitude builds the relationship with yourself that makes every other relationship healthier. It is not the opposite of connection. It is the foundation. So I truly believe after experiencing solitude and finding great joy within it, you begin to feel admiration and appreciation, and you're more kinder to yourself. And being kinder to yourself also means that you will not allow anyone in your presence that will hinder that peace and growth that you worked so hard to get. So this week, I invite you to sit with the silence you have been avoiding. What lives there is not to be feared. It is what you've been seeking all along. Creating a society of self-awareness, discernment, and courage begins with each one of us as individuals. It begins with each one of us of having the capability and desire to know ourselves first. Until next time, thank you for watching Lasso of Truth.